when you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down.
Lake Natron is a salt and soda lake in Usha region in northern Tanzania. The lake is close to the Kenyan border and is in the Gregory Rift, which is the eastern branch of the East African Rift. The area around the salt lake is not inhabited, but there is some herding and some seasonal cultivation. Threats to the salinity balance from increased siltation influxes will come from more projected logging in Natron watersheds and a planned hydroelectric power plant on the Wasongiro across the border in Kenya. Although development plans include construction of a dike at the north end of the lake to contain the fresh water, the threat of dilution to this breeding ground may still be serious. There is no formal protection. A new threat to Lake Natron is the proposed development of a soda ash plant on its shores. The plant would pump water from the lake and extract the sodium carbonate to convert to washing powder for export. Accompanying the plant would be housing for over 1,000 workers and a coal-fired power station to provide energy for the plant complex. In addition, there is a possibility the developers may introduce a hybrid brine shrimp to increase the efficiency of extraction.
The Afar Triangle, also called the Afar Depression, is a geological depression caused by the Afar Triple Junction, which is part of the Great Rift Valley in East Africa. The region has disclosed fossil specimens of the very earliest hominins, that is the earliest of the human clade, and it is thought by some paleontologists to be the cradle of the evolution of humans. See Middle Awash Hadda, or the depression overlaps the borders of Eritrea, Djibouti and the entire Afar region of Ethiopia, and it contains the lowest point in Africa, Lake Castle, Djibouti, at 155 meters below sea level. The Awash River is the main water flow into the region, but it runs dry during the annual dry season and ends as a chain of saline lakes. The northern part of the Afar Depression is also known as the Danakil Depression. The lowlands are affected by heat, drought and minimal air circulation and contain the hottest places of anywhere on Earth. Many important fossil localities exist in the Afar region, including the Middle Awash region and the sites of Hadda, Erdikika and Waranso Mill. These sites have produced specimens of the earliest hominins and of human tool culture, as well as many fossils of various flora and fauna. The world's most terrifying tourist attraction has been shut down after frightening photos emerged of tourists balanced on a raft feeding meat to crocodiles. The young holidaymakers clambered aboard a makeshift cage kept afloat with plastic barrels just inches from the 10-feet-long killer reptiles. They used flimsy canes to dangle lumps of beef over the jaws of the reptiles, which then leapt from the water to snatch their lunch. Pictures taken by shocked motorcycle taxi rider John Knock show hundreds of crocs circling the raft in a pond used for crocodile farming at the Elephant Kingdom in Chonburi, Thailand. The image is viral after he posted them on Twitter, sparking police and government officials to rush to the attraction. John said, "I've been a taxi driver for more than 20 years and never seen anything like this before. It looks so dangerous, I just had to take a picture." The tourists were all Chinese and some of them were scared, others were enjoying it. People have been shocked to see that this happened. Social media users were stunned by the activity, with some saying it was cruel to tease the crocodiles by dangling food then pulling it away.
Earth from a bird's eye view. You should grow feathers.
Bikini Atoll is an atoll in the Marshall Islands, which consists of 23 islands totaling 3.4 square miles surrounding a deep 229.4 square mile central lagoon. It is at the northern end of the Ralak chain, approximately 87 kilometers northwest of Alingani Atoll and 850 kilometers northwest of Majuro. Before the advent of Western influence, the Bikini Islanders' sustenance-based lifestyle was based on cultivating native plants and eating shellfish and fish. They were skilled boat builders and navigators, sailing the two-hulled pra'a to and from islets around the Bikini and other atolls in the Marshall Islands. The islanders were relatively isolated and had developed a well-integrated society bound by close extended family association and tradition. Every lagoon was led by a king and queen and a following of chieftains and chief women who constituted a ruling caste. Japan occupied the island starting in 1914. Some of the leaders maintained Asian-style bungalows and maintained servants, including secretaries, maids and valets. The islanders worked the copper plantations under the watchful eye of the Japanese, who took a portion of the sales. Chiefs could retain as much as $20,000 per year and the remainder was distributed to the workers. The Marshall Islanders were formerly aggressive, but the influence of the mission churches eliminated most conflict. They took pride in extending hospitality to one another, even distant relatives.
Down, Earth from a bird's eye view. You should go.
In the head of the Geyser Naya River at the bottom of the Kitnich volcano, a narrow ground of 2 kilometers length and 100 to 500 meters width, where animals always die, is located. Special research showed that animals and birds die because of the high concentration of poisonous gases, mainly hydrogen sulfide, carbon dioxide, carbon sulfur, etc. The Valley of Death was discovered only in the end of July of 1975 by the volcanologist V.L. Leonov and a reserve forester versus Kalaev. It is remarkable that this area was previously inspected by geologists. Besides, in 300 meters from the main death ground, the tourists' Madidi pitch was located for those who went between the Uzan and the Valley of Geysers. In 1975 to 1983, the reserve workers regularly inspected the area. They collected more than 200 of animals and birds' bodies, initially 12 species of mammals, 15 species of birds and a lot of insects were identified. There were more bodies of small mouse-like rodents and sparrow-like birds, but bears, foxes, wolverines, crows, stellars, sea eagle were also found. Now this list have enlarged. Several lynxes and golden eagles died too. The dog of the reserve worker also died. Madidi is a national park in the upper Amazon River basin in Bolivia. Established in 1995, it has an area of 18,958 square kilometers and, along with the nearby protected, though not necessarily contiguous, areas Manuripe, Hithapalabamba and, across the border in Peru, the Manu Biosphere Reserve. Madidi is part of one of the largest protected areas in the world. Ranging from the glacier-covered peaks of the high Andes Mountains to the tropical rainforests of the Tuachi River, Madidi and its neighbors are recognized as one of the planet's most biologically diverse regions. In particular, Madidi protects parts of the Bolivian Yungas and Bolivian montane dry forest Sakha regions. The Madidi National Park can be reached from Marina Back if you cross the Beni River with the small passenger ferry over to San Buenaventura. The local people who have migrated here from the Andean highlands speak the Quechua language. The cultures who find their origin here are the Takana, the Mozit, the Tsimane and the Azajja, all of which have their own language which pertains to one language group. Some ecologies are found in and around the Madidi National Park. The oldest and best known is Chalilan Ecology in Chalilan on the Tuachi River, a successful community-based enterprise that generates significant economic benefits to indigenous communities. Ilha Diplomata Grande, also known as Snake Island, one of many snake islands around the world, is an island off the coast of Brazil in the Atlantic Ocean. It is administered as part of the municipality of Peruíbe in the state of São Paulo. The island is small in size and has many different types of terrain ranging from bare rock to rainforest. The island has a temperate climate. The island is the only home of the critically endangered venomous Bothrops insularis, which has a diet of birds. The snakes became trapped on the island when rising sea levels covered up the land that connected it to the mainland. This left the snakes to adapt to their environment, increase rapidly in population and render the island dangerous to public visitation. Queimada Grande is closed to the public in order to protect this snake population. Access is only available to the Brazilian Navy and selected researchers vetted by the Chico Mendes Institute for Biodiversity Conservation. The Brazilian Federal Conservation Unit Ilha Queimada Grande has a variety of vegetation. The island is partly covered in rainforest and partly bare rock and grassy cleared areas, a result of deforestation. The deforestation is the origin of the island's name. The term Queimada in Portuguese means to burn because when locals attempted to clear land for a banana plantation on the island, they had to clear rainforest using this technique. A lighthouse was constructed in 1909 to steer ships away from the island. The last human inhabitants left the island when the lighthouse was converted to being automated. Mount Sinabung is a Pleistocene to Holocene stratovolcano of andesite and dacite in the Kuro Plateau of Kuro Regency, North Sumatra, Indonesia. 40 kilometers from the Lake Tebas supervolcano, many old lava flows are on its flanks, and the last known eruption before recent times occurred in the year 1600. Solfataric activities, cracks where steam gas and lava are emitted, were last observed at the summit in 1912. Recent documented events include an eruption in the early hours of August 29, 2010 and eruptions in September and November 2013, January, February and October 2014. A pyroclastic flow in May 2016 killed 7 people between 2013 and 2014. The alert for a major event was increased with no significant activity on June 2, 2015. The alert was again increased, and on June 26, 2015 at least 10,000 people were evacuated fearing a major eruption. The long eruption of Mount Sinabung is similar to Mount Unzen in Japan, which erupted for 5 years after lying dormant for 200 years.
You should grow feathers and see this too. When you want to get off the darkest ground.
Mount Washington, called Ageokakuk by some Native American tribes, is the highest peak in the northeastern United States at 6,288.2 feet and the most prominent mountain east of the Mississippi River. The mountain is notorious for its erratic weather. On the afternoon of April 12, 1934, the Mount Washington Observatory recorded a wind speed of 231 miles per hour at the summit, the world record for most of the 20th century and still a record for measured wind speeds not involved with a tropical cyclone. The mountain is located in the presidential range of the White Mountains in the township of Sergeant's Purchase, Coos County, New Hampshire, while nearly the whole mountain is in the White Mountain National Forest. An area of 60.3 acres surrounding and including the summit is occupied by Mount Washington State Park. The Mount Washington Cog Railway ascends the western slope of the mountain, and the Mount Washington Auto Road climbs to the summit from the east. The mountain is visited by hikers and the Appalachian Trail crosses the summit. Other common activities include glider flying and annual cycle and running races such as the Auto Road Bicycle Hill Climb and Road Race.
To get off that darkest ground. But gravity pulls you straight down.
Death Valley is a desert valley located in eastern California, in the northern Mojave Desert bordering the Great Basin Desert. It is one of the hottest places in the world at the height of summertime, along with deserts in Africa and in the Middle East. Located near the border of California and Nevada in the Great Basin east of the Sierra Nevada mountains, Death Valley constitutes much of Death Valley National Park and is the principal feature of the Mojave and Colorado Desert Biosphere Reserve. It is located mostly in Inyo County, California. It runs from north to south between between the Amargosa Range on the east and the Panamint Range on the west. The Sylvania Mountains and the Alshhead Mountains form its northern and southern boundaries respectively. It has an area of about 3,000 square miles. The highest point in Death Valley itself is Telescope Peak in the Panamint Range, which has an elevation of 11,043 feet.